In the long and bloody tapestry of human conflict, some battles are remembered for their scale, while others are immortalized for a single haunting mistake.
I swear I will avenge our defeat at the hands of the Muslims. Who among you will stand by my side?
The Prophet placed 50 elite archers on a small rocky hill called Jabal al-Rumah. He gave them the most famous order in military history: protect our backs. If you see us winning, or even if you see us being snatched away by birds of prey, do not leave your station.
In the year 625 AD, beneath the shadow of a jagged mountain in Arabia, the course of world history was decided not by thousands of men, but by the choices of a few. This is the story of the Battle of Uhud, a clash defined by brilliant strategy, heartbreaking betrayal, and the rise of a military genius who would one day be known as the Sword of Allah. To understand Uhud, we must first look at the humiliation of the Meccans a year earlier at the Battle of Badr. The Quraysh, the powerful merchant elite of Makkah, had been decimated. Their pride was wounded, and their legendary leaders were dead. But for the new leader, Abu Sufyan, this wasn't just about revenge, it was about survival. The Prophet Muhammad had begun a strategic, economic strangulation of Mecca. By making alliances with northern tribes, the Muslims were cutting off the vital trade routes that connected Mecca to the wealthy markets of Syria. Without these routes, Mecca would starve. The tension escalated through a series of skirmishes. Abu Sufyan even led a desperate hit and run mission known as the Porridge Raid. It was a minor event named derisively because the Meccans fled so fast they dumped their heavy bags of barley porridge to lighten their load. But behind the laughter of the Muslims, a storm was gathering. Abu Sufyan spent an entire year gathering wealth, weapons, and men. He assembled a massive coalition of 3,000 veteran soldiers, 200 elite cavalrymen, and fierce Abyssinian mercenaries. In March 625, this iron wall began its slow march toward Medina. Geography is the silent commander of every war. Medina was a natural fortress, surrounded on three sides by treacherous, jagged volcanic lava fields known as Hara. These fields were impossible for horses or large infantries to cross. The only clear path into the city was from the north, right at the base of Mount Uhud. The Prophet Muhammad, a master of defensive positioning, initially wanted to wait inside the city. He envisioned a grueling urban war, where the Meccans would be picked off from rooftops and narrow alleyways. However, the younger companions, fueled by the adrenaline of their victory at Badr, argued for an open field confrontation to show their strength.
We have defeated the people of Makkah once before. Let us not wait behind walls. We will meet them outside Medina and fight in the open field.
In a display of true leadership, the Prophet ﷺ respected the majority and marched out to meet the enemies. But before a single sword was drawn, the Muslims were dealt a crushing blow. Abdullah ibn Ubay,
A prominent figure in Medina who secretly resented the Prophet's rise.
This is a suicide mission. I am going back to Medina and taking my 300 soldiers with me.
In an instant, the Muslim force was gutted, leaving only 700 men to face a professional army of 3,000. The odds were now 4-1. The Prophet reached the slopes of Uhud and surveyed the terrain. He saw the Meccan cavalry, led by a young, brilliant commander named Khalid bin Walid. Khalid was a hunter, waiting for any gap in the lines to charge. To neutralize this threat, the Prophet placed 50 elite archers on a small rocky hill called Jabal al-Rumah. He gave them the most famous order in military history: protect our backs. Even if you see us winning and gathering the spoils, do not leave your station. Even if you see us being snatched away by birds of prey, do not move. The battle began with the traditional duels. The Muslim champions, Ali and the Lion of Allah, Hamza, stepped forward and neutralized the Meccan standard bearers one by one.
When the general melee broke out, the 700 Muslims fought with a ferocity that defied logic.
They pushed the 3,000 Meccans back, breaking their formations. The Meccan infantry began to flee, leaving behind their camps and treasures. To any observer, The battle was over. The Muslims had won another miracle. This was the moment of the great temptation. Seeing the Meccans retreat, the archers on the hill began to talk amongst themselves.
The victory is ours! Why stay here while our brothers collect the spoils? Let's go to the ground!
Their commander, Abdullah bin Jubair, pleaded with them to remember the Prophet's orders, but 41 of the 50 archers abandoned their posts and ran down the hill. Khalid bin Walid, who had been waiting in the wings like a hawk, saw the hill emptied. This was the opening he needed. He swung his 200 horsemen around the mountain in a lightning, fast-flanking maneuver. They slaughtered the remaining 9 archers and slammed into the unprotected backs of the Muslims. Within seconds, the hunters became the hunted. The Muslims, who had dropped their weapons to collect gold and silver, were suddenly caught in a pincer movement. Chaos swallowed the battlefield. The Meccan cry of
Listen, everyone! Muhammad has been martyred!
Echoed through the dust, spreading panic. The rumor started because the brave Musab bin Umair, who carried the Muslim banner and resembled the Prophet, had been martyred. In reality, the Prophet was alive but seriously wounded. A small, elite circle of companions, including the legendary Talha and the warrior woman Umara, formed a human shield around him. They took it after hit, choosing to die rather than let the Prophet be reached. Slowly, the Muslims regrouped and fought their way up the rocky slopes of Mount Uhud. On this higher ground, the Meccan cavalry was useless. The horses couldn't climb the jagged rocks, and the momentum of Khalid's charge was lost. Abu Sufyan, realizing that he couldn't take the mountain and that his army was too exhausted to siege Medina, decided to claim a moral victory and withdraw back to Mecca. The aftermath was somber. 70 Muslims lay martyred, including the beloved Hamza. While the Meccans failed to destroy the Muslim community or capture Medina, the battle left deep scars. It was a brutal lesson in the cost of greed and the danger of ignoring leadership. But more than that, Uhud was the forge that tempered the Muslim army. They learned that victory is not guaranteed by faith alone, but by discipline, unity, and tactical obedience. The tragedy at Uhud didn't end the movement, it matured it. The men who survived that day would go on to become the commanders who would eventually topple the Persian and Roman empires. They never forgot the hill of the archers, and they never forgot that in the theater of war, the smallest lapse in discipline can change the fate of the world. The tragedy at Uhud would forge the discipline that later allowed the Muslim armies to challenge the Roman and Persian superpowers. If you want more deep dives into the tactics of ancient warfare, subscribe to the channel. What is the most underrated battle in history? Let us know in the comments.